2012 to 22, we were in that phase where offline retail was an absolute taboo. Then after 2022, saying that bhai, offline retail slash EBO, this is like the model to back.
A Bluestone is basically like a 45,000 AOV product or company, but with just 5% online sale. So omnichannel for them means Instagram page where you discover me online, but come to transact with me offline.
My limited point is the Mokoboras and the lab-grown diamonds and all of these models finally got VC love because people started realizing कि यार इसमें पैसा है.
Revenue per store per month is the ultimate goal. If you can get 3,000 rupees revenue per store per month, which I thought कि ये तो हो ही जाएगा, but it's not easy यार. किराने की दुकान में 3,000 rupees per store per month is very high. हम लोग 1,000 नहीं पहुंच पाते यार.
I don't know how the Ken pulled this out, but as per the Ken, FY25 Dream Sports had spent 3,000 crore in ads. Meta India ad sales was close to 3.5 billion.
Is this a regulatory fix to an advertising problem? Like the money going out of the country through Meta and Google, like a reverse signal on the tariff.
I have this theory on why Trump has become so pro-Pakistan, going against India on everything possible.
Hello everyone, welcome to episode 42 of the Asymmetric podcast. Today we are joined by one of our favorite guests, Tushar. Tushar is a principal at Gladebrook Capital, but has come on the podcast before and amazed me for sure, because that's the first interaction I had with him, with his very sharp, incisive commentary on markets, companies, and inputs for founders. Today, as always, he has come super well prepared with a point of view and hypothesis on omnichannel businesses, with a specific insight into Lenskart, Bluestone, and Wakefit, but super relevant for all founders building in the consumer space, especially founders like Revant and I, for example, Chirag also. All of us kind of think about offline, online, acquiring consumers, AOVs, separate categories, how to do merchandising, price sensitivity. These are all super top of mind strategic elements for us. And Tushar has come with a very detailed analysis. And the link to that analysis will be in the description. But episode 42 is about just double clicking on all of these elements, especially given the recent listing of Bluestone. Tushar, welcome to Asymmetric episode 42, and thanks for making the time.
Thanks, Shantanu. Thanks, everyone, for having me on. I thought since coming on the last episode, given the way the world has changed and given what we discussed on that episode, I thought I'm never going to get an invite back. But thanks for having me on, guys.
Awesome. We will also be missing Chirag today because he's on personal leave, but we'll welcome him back next week, and hope you guys enjoy the episode. Stay tuned. What is this bypassing the dollar trade lanes? See, kya hai? Is it real?
Yeah, look, so I think if you trace back though, and now it's funny given you compare it to my last podcast episode to now, where we were talking about let's cozy up to America and let's become friends with them, and feeling so embarrassed looking at that podcast episode, because last time I came, it was episode number 26, I think, and that time we were talking about tariffs and how that is an opportunity for India. Now we are sitting on 50% tariffs. Then we were doing Operation Sindoor. Like that day itself, Operation Sindoor happened. Oh, sorry, the Pahalgam attacks happened and then Operation Sindoor happened. We were talking about how you have to reduce reliance on China and replace it, right? And now it has become let's cozy up to China and become friends with them. So within, I think there's 2 months and 15 episodes, I think the entire world has changed beneath us. So I don't know what to say now. I will only now stick to no prophesizing, only facts.
The organization that you work for, Tushar, and represent is a US headquartered fund that is a growth fund that deploys in India as well. Like, if your peers ask you ki bhai kya ho raha hai India mein, this is what you say, right? This is normal 6 weeks in India.
Normal 6 weeks in India. This is normal 6 weeks in India. Get used to it. I think what this obviously does is it reduces investor confidence, especially in sectors which are sensitive to regulations, especially in sectors where you are touching or trying to monetize users at the bottom of the pyramid and all of that stuff. And there was like meaningful capital riding on all of these companies. Like look at Dream11, look at Games 24/7, Winzo, Provo, like meaningful capital, dollar denominated meaningful capital, which was on these companies, $20 billion plus of market cap across these 7-8 companies. And it was the most profitable consumer internet sector also. If you think about it, there is no other sector, maybe apart from F&O or close to that, which was as profitable as this industry was. So it definitely takes us 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards type of a situation.
To be fair to investors, if you see the cohort of investors that took a punt on this sector, it was not a very deep set. Like, I remember because, we were at K-Start too. I think you had joined 6 months after the Windsor deal, right? It was my first
Yeah,
being from
yeah.
K-Start. And I remember how hard it was to get Windsor Series A because people would be like, yeah, this sector, we are not very sure how the government looks at it. So, to be fair to most investors, always took a skeptical view about real money gaming because they were like, we know that the Indian government is not very, it's which side of the bed you will wake up on kind of situation may happen in this sector.
Even that's the problem, right?
But
Like if the
actually, if you
government
say-
policy is not consistent and known, then how do businesses take action? That was the entire problem with Trump moving the tariffs up and down. आज pause कर देते हैं, आज चला देते हैं, so frequently, right? That the business environment basically just froze in the US. No one was willing to put more capex investments. No one was expanding capacity because they were like, boss, I don't know which country I should ally with. People were saying, let's do India, India. Now India is suddenly in a tough spot, right? People were then saying, let's do Vietnam, Vietnam. Then Vietnam became in a tight spot. So it just, so this uncertainty obviously harms business environment in a very, very meaningful manner. And some of it is what you see immediately that, okay, some investors lost money. But some of it will be structural and long term. Some guys will just say, why even bother? Let's do that incremental 2 deals a year that I want to do in India. Let me just do that in the US.
No, that I agree. I'm not saying that will not happen. Especially with firms like yours who may be doing 10 deals in the US in a year and maybe 2 deals or 3 deals a year in India, right? And therefore they'll say, yeah, maybe the incremental exposure, the risk reward doesn't make sense because there's a potential reward that the India consumption story may throw up a bunch of great deals. But there could be a potential impact on the reverse side as well, right? What I meant to say was, I think there is so much more beyond beyond the RNG sector. You're right, $20 billion of value had by design accrued in across these companies. But I at least see that a majority of the investor base had in some way or form not taken a bet here. Like they had stayed away from, if I can call it that.
I would say it was also demand and supply. Given that most capital here is accrued to those 7-8 companies only, right? And those 7-8 companies became profitable so early on in their journeys that they didn't have to raise capital in the future, right? Even you will see that back till up to like 2023, there were secondary transactions happening across these companies. That means there was an investor appetite. And that investor appetite came from 2 fronts. I would say especially one was COVID, right? With COVID, digital consumption, all of those things spurred up a lot. And this sector was a beneficiary of that. Second was increasingly, there was a sense that this sector will now have a framework under which it will have to operate. And people were taking bets under that framework, right? So, for example, there was that game of chance.
Post that there was a GST clarity as well.
Yeah.
Technically, everyone believed that, in fact, 18 से 28 भी हुआ. And in fact, at least what Harsh is on record saying that as soon as the rumors of the sin tax came out that 40% GST may be applicable here, they were trying to reach out to the government and understand if it will be applicable. And in some way or form, actually, if you look at the FY25 numbers of all these companies, even with 28% GST, they are like massive profits. So even with 40% GST, they would be like, okay.
Actually, with 28% tax on depositors, that was the first year that Dream11 went negative on profits because of the tax application, because the value proposition of the business became very little or like reduced meaningfully for the customer. So that's why after 3 or 4 years of being in profits and like being massively profitable, they went negative for the first time. But the understanding was that, okay, we will now build from here. The things like taxation, things like these rulings, government, giving you some framework to operate in, give you a playing field that this is the law of the land and you operate within those lanes.
I think but the timing is important, right? I think there were other things which are pressing. Suddenly it became critical. So that's what I don't understand.
Anybody's guess at this point, Shantanu, honestly. Like there is lots of conspiracy theories going around. But what is clear is that there was no consultation which happened. Monday, media houses started reporting it. Tuesday, it was tabled.
Yeah.
It's very surprising. This is a government and a Ministry of Commerce that actually has increased significant dialogue with the industry, right? They'll call founders for everything. Even like, bilateral trade discussions. Suddenly there'll be like Aman Gupta and like, there'll be like Chandra is there in like 1/3 of the meetings. They do that. But on this particular thing, it was completely done without any industry consensus. And I read this somewhere that is this a regulatory fix to an advertising problem? Like like the money going out of the country through Meta and Google. Is this a way to give a signal, like a reverse signal on the tariffs? So we'll stop I don't know.
Yeah, by the way, it's the biggest advertiser on Meta and Google. RMG is bigger than Ecom.
How much is it, Revant?
Almost 52% of Meta Google, apparently. I may be wrong, but at least the grapevine I'm hearing is between 10 to 15% of Meta Google's spends. It's the biggest, as a group, it was the biggest spender. I don't know how the Ken pulled this out, but as per the Ken, FY25, Dream Sports had spent 3,000 crore in ad spend. This is from accounting audited numbers. So 3,000 plus 1,500 Gamescraft plus 1,500 Games 24/7. So this is 6,000 plus बाकी सब मिला के $1 billion तो यही है and total ad spend है. So this will include TV. So plus there are other lot of small players, but some numbers are FY24 or yeah. But my rough math was that on a monthly basis, I think these days we're spending close to about 1,000 crores a month, of which Meta Google, I don't know how much it would be, but barring IPL जहाँ बीच में पोकरबाजी आया था या उसके पहले ड्रीम स्पोर्ट्स था, that's very lumpy, right? So your day-to-day expense would still be there. So 500 crores a month is easy in my view.
तो उससे कितना ही ट्रेड मतलब आपका इम्पैक्ट होगा उससे बेसिकली?
नहीं ट्रेड नहीं, मैं बोल रहा हूँ फ्रॉम अ मेटा गूगल एडवर्टाइजिंग इनकम पर्सपेक्टिव इट वाज 10-15% is accurate. What I'm hearing. So I was triangulating that because for a Meta Google 10-15% is a big hit to the ad.
I mean, it's like India P&L. I mean, it's the India P&L, sure. उसका 10-15% है. Global larger scheme of things, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
What that essentially does is only shoots you because local teams are the first ones who get fired.
Actually, but interestingly, if you see, everybody's now looking at India very, very, very favorably. Yeah? Like, we used to talk about the Meta ARPUs, right? I don't know if you covered this in a previous episode. But Meta ARPU in India used to be longest time down to like $3-4, and everyone would be like, yeah, $3-4 mein kya nahi hoga. But FY25, apparently, Meta India ad sales was close to 3.5 billion. So, and roughly about 600 plus million users. So, the ARPU is now increasing drastically. Top 100 million में तो काफी बढ़ गया. It's almost like $12-15 in the top 50-100 जो क्विक कॉम ऑडियंस है. बट अभी क्या है, बेस एकदम से बड़ा हो गया ना इंस्टामार्ट और इंस्टाग्राम और यूट्यूब का. तो दे आर नाउ धीरे धीरे मोनेटाइजिंग द नेक्स्ट 500 मिलियन ऑल्सो. सेम जो मीशो का ऐसे AOV 300 रुपए और Amazon का 2,000, लाइक वो जो गैप है वो गैप इनको भी एडवर्टाइजिंग में दिखता है. बट द टॉप 100 मिलियन विच इज अ डिसेंट साइज, लाइक US टोटल इज 300 मिलियन यूजर्स फॉर मेटा, where I think ARPU is not of $50, but India will soon get there. For the top 100 million, we'll get to like $50 in the next 5 years. So they know that अभी अगले 5-10 साल का ग्रोथ पूरा यहीं से आने वाला है.
I also sometimes wonder, right? If I think about the government's role, philosophically, government's role is to protect the weakest people in the society, right? And we have around 75, 80, 85 crore people who kind of are in that zone. And I always think of, I always get like a weirdly uncomfortable feeling seeing how much this large group of people has been trying to be monetized by creators, by America. Like, I've seen a number of people from the US who come to India, started roaming the streets just to get followership so that they can get better brand deals and more money can move through them because, a bunch of people who earn less than 1 lakh rupees a year are following them now in all towns and villages of India, right? Yeah, as government, I would feel like this is a problem that is, and then what? And the second order impact of that is a bunch of these folks have now easy access to Meta, Google, etc. To Meta essentially, who then feel like this is the way to make money. And then I don't know if you guys have seen the kind of content that is coming out. And then if I were the government, I'm like, this is time being taken away from productive means to take the nation forward for all our Viksit Bharat goals. So you have to cut this off in some shape or form. तो ये गेमिंग हो गया, तुम नाच रहे हो गानों पे एक्सेट्रा हो गया, तुम आके आई शो स्पीड और मिस्टर बीस्ट के कंटेंट को देख के मिस्टर बीस्ट को रिच बना रहे हो, while you get nothing out of it.
Yeah, but Shadru, what we're talking about then is very similar to what China did with all those tech companies and all those gaming companies essentially.
I am 100% sure there is.
China has the Douyin जहाँ पे लोग नाच के बेचते हैं माल, मतलब
उनको पैसा मिलता है ना, पैसा उनको मिलता है ना.
Why Trump has become so pro-Pakistan and why he has become anti-India and basically, going against India on everything possible. Which is that if you look at the flow of events, while India and Pakistan were in a warlike situation during Operation Sindoor, Pakistan got a $2 billion loan from the IMF, which was effectively controlled by the US. India said, please don't give it, because ultimately that money was going to be used against us, but US said, oh, we'll give it. I think in the next couple of days or the next 3-4 days, the Pakistan's National Crypto Council, which did not exist in the day before, was suddenly sprung up and bought $500 million of equity in Trump's World Financial Project or World Crypto Financial Project.
I think Millennium Coin भी खरीदा ना कुछ तो.
Where's Melania Coin? Yeah, so basically that company issues Trump Coin and Melania Coin. And उसका $500 million का equity Pakistan का National Crypto Project, which did not exist till last week. Because funny enough, Pakistan में crypto banned अभी भी. So the central government can buy it, but the user cannot buy it.
IMF से लोन लेके ट्रम्प के कॉइन में जा.
लोन लेके वो तो किसी और का पैसा है ना. And वो जैसे ट्रम्प कॉइन में जा रहा है तो मतलब.
Like go back, right? India actually before consumer internet boomed, most of it was private equity in private capital. VC didn't exist, and private equity would go after retail plays because consumerism was largely offline retail, right? Then there was a phase I remember, I still remember when Rebel was just Fasos and Fasos was a quick service restaurant, right? I remember trying to raise capital and everyone would say a linear model, non-venture backable model, right? And I got tired of that. I used to go to most growth stage. I remember Series B, we had raised some 100 crores. So उसके लिए जो पापड़ बेलने पड़े थे. Yes, the business economics were not that great also, but fundamentally people would get stuck at the fact that यार आप कितना दुकान डालोगे, फिर आप 10 दुकान डालोगे, फिर क्या ही बनेगा करके. And 2012 to 22, we were in that phase where offline retail was an absolute taboo. Then after 2022, we've gone absolutely berserk on the other side, saying that bhai, offline retail / EBO, this is like the model to back. So I want to understand ki while yes, Lenskart has done well, Bluestone, which pivoted from online to offline, which followed Carrot Lane, which was online to offline. And now there's the lab-grown diamond, and there's enough mattress companies and enough and more EBO-led models. Every fashion company, Snitch, Soul Store, they're all fundamentally offline end models. Right? पहले 5 साल 2008 से 12 में सबने स्क्रू अप कर दिया. अरे ये एक हस्ती सेक्टर है. फिर 10 साल कुछ हुआ नहीं. फिर लोग मरा के बनाते गए. अब सब IPO जा रहे तो सब बोल रहे वाह 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 बहुत बढ़िया सेक्टर है करके. ये कुछ फंडामेंटली चेंज हुआ है.
नहीं, I would say कि so if you look at the journey of all of these companies, we are only talking about 3 today, which have come out recently with their DRHPs, Lenskart, Bluestone, which went public, and BigFit. But broadly, like you said, Soul Store, Rare Rabbit, there's a bunch of all of these omni-channel online to offline EBO companies, right, which exist in the world.
But by the way, none of them have got great valuations at entry from private companies. If I go back to Soul Store 2021, like 3x पे deal हुआ यार. आज भी people will value apparel a little lower because Bocalers is public and stuff. But if I see what the public, when Soul Store or Snitch or Rare Rabbit goes public, you will see much higher valuations than what private market has offered by design. Because the ROCE, EBITDA और ये सब तो पहले भी clear था ना. The math on offline EBO was always clear, नहीं क्या?
Yeah, so I would say कि if you first look at all these 3 companies, apart from Wakefield, which started in 2015, I think, Bluestone is a 2013 company and Lenskart is a 2011 company, right? So all of these companies have been around for like 10 plus years. So the thought process that offline takes a little longer to scale is not wrong. It is correct.
They also
Right?
pivoted. To be
They-
fair, Wakefit started as an Amazon first mattress selling business. I remember when Sequoia did the Series A. Lenskart was an online firm that eventually went offline. वो तो सबकी परवरिश है. First cry नहीं पहले online था, फिर offline heavy हो गया.
It is now online gives you the ability to start a brand and test value proposition far quicker. So you start with that. You don't have like with offline, you're going with let's say one store, right? That's all the capital you have, or 5 store, that's all the capital you have. So you're only in one city, you're constrained, right? E-commerce, D2C as well as marketplaces gives you the ability to start quicker, be more iterative, and cement the value proposition in the mind of the customer in a much more deeper sense. However, as you start scaling online, it hits a certain cap where your ROASes start going down, right? Where you, and you guys know this much better than I do, so just add to that. But where you start feeling that I'm hitting a cap on growth as well as in ROAS, that what I've built is a strong supply chain, is a strong network, is a strong brand position. And now I know what my channel, market, and product fit essentially looks like, right? So now I have the confidence to invest more money in building the offline part of my strategy, which is where I can add new categories, I can add new SKUs, I can make myself more accessible, right, to the broader audience, keep going deeper and deeper, keep densifying my network of stores and locations. And that becomes my scale driver, because at the end of the day, e-commerce is what, like still 15% of consumption at best, right? Like 10 to 15% of consumption at best. So the rest 85% of the market you have to get to somehow. And that somehow then becomes offline for you. Which is why I would expect that for all consumer brands which have a high enough AOV, they will do more and more EBOs and more and more offline once they hit a certain scale wall on what they could reach online. Now that could mean different scale walls for different categories. Like we'll see for Bluestone versus for Wakefit versus for Lenskart. It means different things. And when where omni-channel truly works, where something is more offline truly works, will depend on each category. But my sense is that it is not that, oh, it has just come back in vogue because it is fashionable to do it, but rather the survivors who will win the online race will then consolidate their positioning to get to the next 85% of the market by using EBOs as the next leg of distribution for them.
Also, I think we can sweat the asset also a lot more. No? Like, for example, omni-channel just doesn't mean you're in multiple channels. It means each channel starts becoming multi-consumer use case, right? So, for example, someone who comes to EBO will buy online. It becomes impression. Like in today's cluttered world, impressions are expensive anyways. Right? We have like an EBO at the airport or an EBO in a high footfall place where people can touch it. Even if they don't buy, they'll come and buy later. So, all of that osmosis of consumer goes up. Also, I think, Revant, specifically your example of food, I think you also start seeing restaurants start being able to being able to service people who are not sitting there, right? Through cloud kitchens or other kind of infra.
Yeah.
You can start seeing both videos coming dark stores.
We pivoted to cloud kitchen because we realized that I'll tell you where specifically this comes up, right? Like today, now, because there's so much money going into offline EBO retail models, you today have models that start as offline EBOs and VCs are funding it. So, by the way, clinics, jewelry chains like Jiva actually was very little time वो भी pivot किया था, but now you have jewelry chains starting offline and लोग बोल रहे हैं हाँ पैसा ले लो करके. So
Jewelry very struggling, like very high OB and very high risk.
answer is AOV.
To order.
Shandar, answer is high AOV. It's very clear. Actually, it's so high AOV नहीं होता है.
I'll show you this, right? Which is that that AOV is not the only consideration essentially. Because if I were to, this x-axis is percentage of online sales, y-axis is the AOVs, just between these three companies. Fashion वगैरह add कर दोगे, it will all get cluttered up because there will be a Zudio which is like entirely offline but very low AOVs and all of that stuff. So I just kept it to these three companies. But a Bluestone is basically like a 45,000 AOV product or company, but with just 5% online sales. So omni-channel for them means Instagram page where you discover me online, but come to transact with me offline, right? Now a Lenskart, even though the AOV is lower than a Wakefit's AOV, But because the product requires a very high degree of customization, look and feel, right? That ends up being less online than even a Wakefit is. Because in Lenskart's case, the complexity is many orders of magnitude because there can be so many frames, then there can be so many powers, and then there can be so many materials. So you combine all that together, like each Lenskart store can theoretically customize more than 1 million combinations of what they can offer the customer, right? Which is insane. So there, the AOV becomes important. Whereas even in Wakefit's case, they don't give it unfortunately category by category, but on what is offline, what is online. But a mattress category is largely online now, whereas a furniture's category is heavily skewed towards offline because there is an assisted buying experience versus a standardization of the product. Like a mattress, you know कि इतने इंच का मुझे mattress चाहिए, and you just measure your room and you just put it on the website. But in furniture's case, because I want to see the size, look and feel, etc., it becomes different. So I don't think AOV is there. And by the way, in Wakefit's case, the AOV for mattress is higher than the AOV for furniture. Because their furniture are mostly like small tables and chairs, etc. For the furniture, AOV is like 4,500 rupees. Mattress is around like 9,500 rupees. So, but because the mattress is a standard product, you know what you are getting. You just order it online. Where the furniture, look and feel, I'll test it, see if it's comfortable, this and that. You'll go offline to buy it.
I have not been to a Wakefit store, but I can assume that a Wakefit and a sleep company are kind of parallels. But sleep company so I went there because of my back. Yeah, for my back, I want a hard mat. Boss, the kind of stuff they have done in terms of the way they make you experience the mattress. There are material का कुछ अलग-अलग एक counter है. Then तुम बैठ के देख सकते हो. It's like nothing I have experienced before. So
Yeah.
that is stuff you cannot do on a 2D screen. So it is actually incredible.
So yeah, it was the limited point I was making, Tushar, that I think the assumption that mattress online bikta hai was a starting point. I think there are enough mattresses now sold even for Wakefit offline. They started furniture late, but they've been offline now for a long time. And while they don't break up the AOV, but private investors in this company, if you talk to them, they'll tell you that the offline AOV for any brand that is omni-channel is 30 to 40% higher than online AOV. So if the mattress being sold in a Wakefit online is 10,000, where mattress only revenue would have a higher AOV in the offline phase, because the potential for upselling and saying कि यार आप ये नहीं, आप ये वाला mattress लो, अच्छा आपका lower back pain इससे कम होगा, like ये वाला material लो, इस पे आप ये cover ले लो, etc. is much higher ना. Like if it's like you're going to the McDonald's and they're asking you make it a meal, single cheese or double cheese, there is no cheese option.
Then Revant, I agree with you, but I think if you see here, the bulk of the market is sitting for them is like that standard memory foam type of mattress only. So I'm saying while you're right, the AOVs will be higher because you can do a lot more customization, etc. But if the bulk of the market does not need it, then a best online. And then
Also, they have not innovated.
Yeah.
The sleep company has gone on a very big performance. Like we understand sleep. While Wakefit started that, we are technically like their entire marketing was, if you remember the campaign, right? The sleep intern, people will come and just sleep. It was great marketing. I mean, unfortunately, that positioning has now been taken over by Sleep Company because the name of the brand is Sleep Company.
Yeah.
How strong the memory structure gets created. Plus, they have really focused their advertising on their core USP, which is performance. That we really understand sleep to a level कि हमने technology ऐसा सब किया हुआ है, which is where I think the AOVs are a little higher for them. But coming back limited point, I still think anything above 5,000 rupees as AOV, and even in apparel, by the way, individual kapade might be 1,500 rupees, but the AOV for a soul store offline is close to the 4,000 rupee plus mark, whereas online would be about 2,000. So at 4,000 rupee AOV ना, EBO आराम से आपका बन जाएगा.
चल जाता है, बिल्कुल.
Right?
I think the economics.
My limited point is the Mokobaras and the lab-grown diamonds and all of these models finally got VC love because people started realizing कि यार इसमें पैसा है. और we can keep saying कि linear model है, but पैसा बनता है. There is profitable EBITDA in every store. You could effectively put 100 odd stores and mota-moti make 100 crore EBITDA. At least, I think Go Colors IPO maybe was the trigger, but somewhere that changed. And now I'm seeing at least a lot more interest in being okay to underwrite even at a Series A stage offline EBO first models.
Yeah. So I would say ki, at least coming back to the earlier point that I was making, I feel it is still that uh, let's let's create cement value proposition and brand positioning, customer fit online first, because that is the quickest one for us to get off the ground. And then once we feel that we have achieved that, then let's start going offline, because the bulk of the market is still sitting there and it has its added benefits. The economics are good. Now, how quickly can you scale that is your ability to be able to do it. Like a Lenskart is still adding like 200 stores per year.
हाँ वो सब सिटे यार, वो तो कुकी कटर है ना उसका तो
हाँ,
much smaller stores than
बट आपको स्केल करने के लिए वैसे ही करोगे ना, मतलब यू विल क्रिएट अ स्टैंडर्ड बॉक्स विच यू कैन पुट एट मल्टीपल प्लेसेस. Even Bluestone is adding like 80 to 90 odd stores per year now. Carrick Lane is still adding 50-60 stores a year now. So it's not, I mean, while people say कि ठीक है हम लोग स्केल करना मुश्किल है, सब कुछ है, but yeah, establishing that positioning is obviously tough. But once you do it, then it is a very scalable playbook and model. Then I think the other interesting thing, which I think is actually counterintuitive to all of our VC learning, is how backward and vertically integrated all of these companies are. All of them have massive manufacturing facilities, which are being which are essentially factories that they're running and are running at very high utilization. But that gives them that product iteration impact. That gives them that margin expansion also. In Lenskart's case, even more so, because a lot of the supply chain is outside of India, does not sit in India. They were the ones who pioneered and created that. And because of that, if you see on this page, they have been able to win like some 20% plus of margin, which they would have otherwise given to various intermediaries through the chain. And this is, by the way, still when they are only manufacturing about 30% of their own products in frames and 12% of lenses. So as that keeps on going up, you will expect that to show up a lot more in the bottom line. Same for Bluestone. Bluestone's own manufacturing capacity is like 80% utilized. But all of their products are now manufactured in-house. So I would say...
I love Lenskart. Like on this, I don't know if you've ever seen, but Piyush basically welcomes all these creators and influencers to the factory, takes them through the factory, then they ask questions, उनके चश्मे बनते हैं वहीं पे और बढ़िया सा वो content बनता है, which is so interesting to see. That that this is very typical to like मैंने factory लगा लिया, like a a Goodyear or a Seat would do that like 40 or 50 years back, and we are kind of back into that, like this whole D2C tech first thing comes back down to like this setting up a very state of the art factory and telling the world like be proud about most.
Like the Lenskart factory, I've been, it's like it's fantastic. It's a global SOTA level. And say for like, even if you look at Bluestone, right, they now have 3 facilities. And their older facilities are operating at 80% plus utilization. What else can you ask from them? Right? They are doing a good job at running that factory.
In your view, all these omni-channel retail-heavy businesses, which are high AOV, are doing this to increase gross margin or reduce dependencies on increase quality or build moats? What is the core driver for everyone to vertically integrate?
I think, Reva, is a combination of all 3. In Lenskart's case, it is reducing reliance on middlemen and suppliers, which then basically builds moats and shows up in your margin. In Bluestone's case, it is to maintain the speed at which you want to iterate designs. And it is to ensure that the quality that the consumer gets and the authenticity that the consumer gets is Bluestone certified. In Wakefit's case, it I think is more to bring down the unit costs over time. Because like you said, they're not doing much on the product innovation side. But still their gross margin has actually increased both because of cross-sell, but also as you see their manufacturing capacity scale up. So I think it's a bit of everything.
Yeah, Wakefit's starting point was they used to always manufacture for day one. Actually, mattress में वो थोड़ा सा moat थोड़ा day one से ही होता है वो. Interestingly, all 3 are vertically integrated.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, like, I don't think Soul Store manufactures their own clothes, do they? No, I don't think so.
I think fashion में कम है. Fashion में manufacturing yourself is less of a trend. Fashion में vertical integration works to the extent of कि designs are my own. Like if you think about a Zara or someone else, they don't even design their clothes in most cases, right? They will give you a mood board and ask the factories to showcase कि यार these are the products that we have, and then they pick the best and show it. So that's the level of, so they are not vertically integrated there. I think the fashion first, fast fashion, trendy brands in India Like a Ray Rabbit has a massive design team. I've spent some time with them to see that, but they have a massive design team, which then shows up because Ray Rabbit is such a unique signature of the kind of clothes they do.
Yeah.
I,
Do you think
I
this?
spent-
Sorry, this will apply to. Let's think of what else could become a growth stage investment slash IPO in the next 5 years, right? Let's take a Mokobara for example. There's a lot of accusation that यार आप चाइना से मंगा रहे हो. That would, if you were an investor in Mokobara, would you recommend to them that यार एक फैक्ट्री डाल दो या एक फैक्ट्री खरीद लो जो सफारी के लिए बनाता होगा या वीआईपी के लिए बनाता होगा या एक्सक्लूसिव टाई अप कर लो? Would this be a course of decision making for companies like that?
I would say Revan, it's stage gated. First is कि online चालू करो. Prove me that.
Today, let's say there are 300 crore, 350 crore business. Now,
I'm just using this as a framework overarching. कि start online. Prove it to me that you have an audience. Prove it to me that your business has customer market fit, right? Then okay, let's expand channels. Let's get to a scale. Okay, and then let's put up a manufacturing capacity eventually. Because if you are running a factory and that's running a 20% utilization, that does not make sense. And you don't want to be creating these small factories because then the economics will never make sense anyways for you. So you want to create a large scale factory. But to get a large scale factory, you need to aggregate large scale demand. And for you to aggregate large scale demand, you need to capture that 85% of the market. But to get to the right to play in that 85% of the market is for you to first prove it to me online that you can do it, or that there is demand for your brand signature, there is demand for your product, there is demand for the innovation that you're trying to build, and that you know how to run this business. So it's a journey of company life rather than, I would say, a straight jacket solution that let's start doing this from day zero or day one.
But it's scary, right? That
Eventually,
if businesses in US and China in across sectors scale to like 200, 400, 500 billion dollar revenue without getting into manufacturing. But India may, we asked this question to Samir also, right? Shantanu, that why don't you get into? But obviously, he's not getting into. At some point of time, he'll get an exclusive tie-up for protein supply. But he's now getting into his own manufacturing, which is broadly assembly. Like you import the protein and then you still blend it, but you still want to do it because I think from a supplement perspective, it makes sense from a quality control perspective, right? Like for example, even in the BPC space, Unilever has exclusive tie-ups. Like a Marico has exclusive tie-ups कि ये factory से मेरे लिए चलेगा करके and मेरा ही QC का बंदा होगा. So why do you think India में ये होता है कि is it because you want a moat, because there's no IP, or you just want quality control?
Rehan, I would say that US may, I don't know, I know very little about China, so I won't comment on that. But US may, the companies get to that scale without having their own manufacturing, but still having captive units somewhere else in the world. Or having like a large share of some units capacity somewhere else in the world. That is because US manufacturing for them is far more expensive than it is to do somewhere else, right? But if you remember, we have spoken about this company called Athletic Greens quite a bit, right? Athletic Greens had like a proprietary formulation, right? They used to source, it's a US brand which scaled up really well. Now, that company had like a proprietary formulation. Now, people can claim how proprietary, not proprietary, etc. doesn't matter. But they would aggregate, their own teams would go and aggregate ingredients from 50 different sources, right? And then they would manufacture all of that in New Zealand and in China, which were their captive facilities. Right? So, even in Apple, for example, Foxconn is effectively a captive facility for Apple, right? The facilities that they run for them. So I think that US wala comparison, I don't think is like for like. But in India, it is clear that as you keep scaling up and you want to keep improving your margin, improve your resilience, improve your modes, you will have to keep going backwards in the supply chain and keep integrating further backwards.
So the guy who made our first shaving cream, Revant, you probably know him. Samir Kothari is a promoter at Hindustan Foods, has a totally opposite journey. He comes from contract manufacturing. So he knows how to set factories and sell to Reckitt and HUL and Colgate of the world. He's a contract manufacturer for them. But then now is because of that, has now started building out his own brands. Today is worth 6.5, 7,000 crores, operating at 50, 55 PE. And kind of gone the other way. To say, I will set up the factory, etc. myself. And manufacturers typically would not know how to build brands. That's usually the issue. Like Foxconn, like we don't know how to build a brand. China's classic, right? We don't know how to build a brand in India. You guys take it, build a brand, we'll write label it for you. But he's basically saying we'll build. So then there's a Lenskart model which is kind of contracted out, builds a brand and then vertically integrate backward. And then there's a Hindustan Food model, which is, hey, we know how to do the manufacturing, and then now we'll start getting into brand building. And both of those are kind of very similar to the omni-channel thing.
Yeah, they will converge together. They will converge together, Shastru. It is about what does the entrepreneur think at the starting point is their core skill set that they can bring to the table at that point. Right. आप starting point कहीं से भी करोगे, you will, the intent for them is to expand margins, because everyone is looking at someone else's P&L and saying, boss, why is this guy making so much money? I should be making that margin. Right.
Yeah.
So you keep moving backwards or upwards depending on that.
I remember even Indigo Paints, right, very early in their journey, right after their Series A or Series B, I think, they had gone and acquired a factory in Coimbatore, which had a much higher much higher capacity than Indigo Paints ka total revenue. So they went and kind of gutted it down, and that was a big shift in their growth story.
Yep.
So this is not something new. This is like manufacturing capability enhancement has been around for a while, especially in certain categories.
Even Shein for that question, was like manufacturer earlier and then became a forward-looking brand.
Yeah, but my limited question is at 2500 crore, Honasa should be putting up a manufacturing facility for BPC.
Yeah.
My limited point is, Chandra, I have never seen any venture capital or private equity or board, like public companies, so there's no board, but I've never seen this as an advice to यार कि सोचो करके ऐसे आप, because somewhere I think private capital allocators are they like asset light models. Again, तो tech play ये वो so, but I think थोड़ा कुछ तो ट्रेंड दिख रहा है मेरे को यहाँ पे कि भाई ऐसे कैसे कि सबने बैकवर्ड इंटीग्रेट कर रखा है, और बाय द वे बैकवर्ड इंटीग्रेट करना तो 5 साल का कोर्स है, मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि आज सोचा और कल हो गया करके, right? Getting into manufacturing is I used to keep thinking about this, Tushar, you may remember, you had done this deal, Desi. The guy put up such a beautiful factory, right? And I'm like, yaar, itni choti company hai, but it didn't pan out the way it had to do because the risk was higher. You were not really a manufacturing team, so maybe you didn't anticipate the problems.
But the motivation there was right. Yeah, the motivation there was right. Which was I need to ensure quality control for my customers. Dental aligners are a very, very high customization category. I can give it to someone else to manufacture it for me. And so which is a very bluestone mentality.
Correct.
Right. So different people will have different motivations and different people will do it at different journeys. It is arguably, one could now hypothesize and say that, Desi actually probably could have used that capital to build the brand out and build the customer acquisition more. And then when they got to a certain scale, आपका capacity utilization हो जाएगा. Right?
Yeah.
So, in my mind, the framework is this. There is no problem in you wanting to put up a manufacturing capacity till the time you feel that in year 2 or year 3 or at whatever reasonable time frame, you can get it to 80% plus utilization. Because effectively, what you are doing here is you are trading gross margin for OC. आप मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कैपेसिटी डालोगे, आपका ग्रॉस मार्जिन बढ़ जाएगा, बट कैपिटल एम्प्लॉयड विल आल्सो गो अप, राइट? आप नहीं डालोगे, ग्रॉस मार्जिन विल गो डाउन, कैपिटल एम्प्लॉयड विल कम डाउन, go up, right? So you will get evened out one way or the other. So where it really makes a difference is the customer value proposition that you want to give, or that could be fashion trends, that could be quality assurance, that could be customization, right, etc., etc.
Yeah, I mean, in our case with health and wellness, I actually have a very strong view that anything that you're putting inside the body, at scale, quality control is so important. I find it a little worrying if I am not controlling every end of the
spectrum.
मुझे stress आता है. कितना भी कर लो, alignment of incentives have to be absolute. Like we have, I'll have my quality guy, process control हमारा है, everything. But end में यार मुझे लगता है कि if there is, God forbid, some problem, I will not sleep at night. And I know you will say a contract manufacturer will also say that यार मेरा number 1 client है, तो I will also not sleep well at night, कल धंधा चला जाएगा. But वो नहीं होगा यार, customer के मेरा है ना. लेकिन एंड में मैं रियलाइज करता हूँ कि यार जिसका कस्टमर होता है ना, सबसे ज्यादा दर्द तो उसी को होता है. So
in health and wellness, one bad incident can really ruin the brand position or like the brand trust. Basically, it can. अब ब्लूस्टोन के केस में भी यार अगर 5 लोगों को दिख जाए कि हमारा जो डायमंड था हमें असली बोल के लैबुरोन चिपका दिया, तो they will also get pissed off. Right?
And there are potential leakages also in these high AOV things, right? Like jewelry, which is so fine, रिटेल स्टोर पे कोई कुछ मिस सेल करे तुम्हें पता भी नहीं चलेगा. तो द बेस्ट वे टू कंट्रोल क्वालिटी इज फ्रॉम बिहाइंड ओनली.
behind only. Correct. So, so yeah, I think this is what it boils down to also, right? Which is that it's a timeless principle, but what that retail businesses have four guiding functions. You are either assortment led, you are pricing led. Sorry, you have to fix the right assortment for the customer audience and value proposition you want to give. Then it's pricing, quality, and convenience. And then on the spectrum of how you are delivering it, you can either be like a pricing led player or you can be a merchandising led player. Like I would argue, Zudio is a pricing led player, whereas a Rare Rabbit is a merchandising led player, essentially, right? Or you can put your jewelry guys also in some way or form here, and that forms your voice and positioning as a brand. Now, this step is what I think you have to do before you earn the right to go offline as a brand or as a retailer, because in this sense, in the EBO world, the brand and retailer is the same, right? So you can use it, juxtapose it interchangeably. Because omnichannel in Bluestone's case means basically having a very popular Instagram page where the consideration happens online, but the purchase happens offline. In Lenskart's case, about 25% of sales are online, and for good reason, because you need to like test my number, then you need to do the grading, polishing of the frame, and then I need to check it because like it's also
I'm quite surprised it's at 25% on time. I think it's just even this would be सब कुछ डिसाइड हो गया है और वो स्टोर में ही बोल रहे हैं आप ये वेबसाइट पे ये वाला फ्रेम ऑर्डर कर लो क्योंकि कोई यहाँ पे स्टोर में है नहीं समथिंग लाइक दैट बिकॉज
Well, what they say is कि it is all ordered, delivered and executed online. So, could be fashion,
Maybe.
कुछ भी sunglasses वगैरह किसी ने पहले कोई use कर रखी है. I don't know, but 25% is what they have off online.
और बाय अगेन
And in
रिपीट ऑर्डर
Wakefit's
ये
case,
छोड़ के
yeah.
I don't know it seems very high
Yeah.
25%.
And in Wakefit's case, it is about 30% online, right? Which is the standard mattress, etc. category. So as you will see, for all of these businesses, offline has become a much larger part of their business, even though that started much later. And that goes back to the point I was trying to make about scale caps on digital today. Which and then playing in that 85% of the market that you can't with just pure play online.
But this is again, Bill, I know you nice
Mm.
header saying AOV is not the only consideration. I don't see. Yeah, think about this now today. Let's take a Mamaearth example, right? 1,000 crore brand. But AOV is like per product, 100-150 rupees is the mass, the highest selling SKUs and all. And even online, their AOV would be max 1,000. Now, offline, their AOV can be higher if people are buying like 7 products. Let's say I'm in a Reliance Retail and I see, but Reliance Retail mein shelves is not by brand. Shelf is if I'm in a face wash section, I'll see Mamaearth as a face wash. Then I have to go to the body wash section to find the body wash जिसमें Mamaearth दिखेगा नहीं दिखेगा मेरे को, right? And the corollary other side is for tier 1 India, Quickcom is now replacing GTMT. Tier 2, tier 3, yeah, Meesho has like 250 million transacting users. So even tier 4 tak, your online penetration is only deepening. So I would argue that it's still AOV being the consideration. Like I don't see, and yes, modern trade and GT is offline, right? I'm only specifically talking about EBO. The EBO model doesn't know.
मैं वही कहने वाला था कि हाँ वो I completely agree with you on that part. I think again वही है कि आपको at certain scale you will cap out online, then you'll start going offline. Offline has different flavors where there is GT, MT, MBOs, right? And then you have EBOs. For
Yeah.
EBOs, you need to have like a high enough AOV to be able to play in that, and a high enough store throughput to be able to play in that. Like if you think about it, like one good example of a EBO low AOV company was actually Patanjali.
That note, actually, I realized even Honasa is trying EBOs where they're hoping that between their 7 brands, in one look, you will be able to actually get to that 2,000 rupee plus AOV, which makes a EBO model economically viable. Because वो 2,000 के नीचे तो economically viable नहीं है EBO model.
But the question is कि how many of your brands have relevance for the same person walking into the
नहीं होगा यार
the-
वो try कर रहे हैं. I don't think they've scaled that up, but I think there's an attempt.
But again, Rewaj, it boils down to the same point that effectively is also MBO in the mind of the customer. Na? For the customer, it is MBO. For the company, it
Yeah,
might be
like a Nykaa or a Purple store is an MBO for beauty personal care.
Correct.
Yeah, I think health actually has about 200 EBOs from what I hear.
Correct. Exactly.
Because I think वो प्रोटीन में क्या होता है ना, 1 किलो प्रोटीन is anyway 3,000 रुपए प्लस, तो ये वो भी सॉल्व हो जाता है फिर.
Solve हो जाता है. वही वो I think to play the EBO game, the higher the AOV, the better for you. And then there are very few examples of companies which would have EBOs at a very low AOV scale. But वहाँ पे आप
Zudia is the average actually.
The other interesting thing which I uncovered from this, I was curious to see that जब हम लोग ऑनलाइन बिल्ड कर रहे होते हैं तो सेल्स एंड मार्केटिंग, गूगल मेटा इज लाइक अ बिग स्पेंड. And what happens when you start shifting offline? And what I realized was that for all these three companies, if you add up S&M and rent, that comes together because the store location itself is your advertising footprint.
Correct.
The more you see the same brand store over and over again, it gets in your mind. You start trusting the brand more. You think of it as a bigger company, this and that. And which is why I think you'll see this in the case of Bluestone more so than others. But when these guys start, they start densifying a lot earlier. It's not like one store here, one store there, one store there. It is, let's go to Delhi and let's put let's dominate so that we can be available to everyone in Delhi.
Sales and marketing costs काम हो जाता है अपने आप, because you start seeing it so much, वो अपने आप it's like hoardings across the city.
Hoarding की तरह, exactly, right? And you become more accessible.
But very everybody is close to 9%. That I didn't.
Everyone is S&M and rent comes together to 9%. Now again here the interesting take is that if you see Lenskart, उनका जो है रेंट ज्यादा दिखता है क्योंकि उनका AOV छोटा है. Whereas in Bluestone's case AOV बड़ा है तो रेंट छोटा दिखता है. बट फिर वही जो रेंट छोटा होता है वो ब्लूस्टोन को S&M में स्पेंड करना पड़ता है थ्रू परफॉर्मेंस मार्केटिंग और थ्रू होर्डिंग्स और थ्रू व्हाटएवर. सो it's roughly the math nets out roughly the same way essentially for especially for these three businesses, but I'm sure for all businesses at similar scales. The other I feel is that especially when you become fully vertically integrated, your inventory turns matter a lot to the success of the business. I think from Wakefit, the numbers we should take with a pinch of salt because they've only reported till December of 24. So we don't have the last quarter numbers. So I'm assuming that the inventory turns will look better once they file the full year numbers. But inventory turns are a basic marker of quality in all of these businesses, especially when you're manufacturing on your own. Because utilize करके आपने manufacture कर दिया पर बेचा नहीं तो उस utilization का भी क्या फायदा, right? So utilization by itself does not mean much. You have to look at utilization in consonance with the inventory turns. But what is again very clear is that a business with high gross margin starts the baseline on their EBITDA journey also much higher. So like a Lenskart, because it's a 68% gross margin business, and a Bluestone, which is a 38% gross margin business, that extra 10% that you see in EBITDA is basically being driven by gross margin because almost all other headers are the similar, like employee cost, S&M, rent, वो सब मिला जुला के similar हो जाता है. And in Lenskart's case, the gross margin is high.
क्या है वो भी similar रहेगा.
Actually, CaratLane versus Bluestone is an interesting comparison to think.
These are very three different sectors altogether, right? Like within sector, I think Lenskart doesn't have a comparable, unfortunately.
Lenskart doesn't have a comp. But look at CaratLane and Bluestone, they're actually very different businesses. And the reason why I put CaratLane to be FY 21-23 numbers is that they were at roughly the same scale that Bluestone is today. But look at the difference in throughput per store. Look at the difference in inventory turns. And look at the difference in margins consequentially.
But थोड़ा expansion phase भी है ना. My assumption is Bluestone used to be in higher inventory turns before.
आप देखो FY 21-23 देखो. Lenskart, ये CaratLane went from 117 stores to 222 stores. And in the last 2 years, so they added in 2 years, they added about 100 odd stores. And Bluestone has also added 100 odd stores. Or see when they went from 23 to 24. They added 50 stores. They also added 50 stores. So despite having a lower gross margin, by the way, than Bluestone, CaratLane's EBITDA margin and inventory turns were far superior.
No wonder the IPO struggled, na?
Yeah, correct.
The Bluestone IPO.
Yeah.
The outlook remains favorable because the what I hear on the street is that all these numbers look a little off because most of the network has come in the last 3 years, and as it is stabilizing. So I'm an investor in a pet clinic company. I really like a view that, they share, which is EBITDA by clinic for the time period that they have been in, right? More than 24 months, what is the revenue per clinic and EBITDA per clinic? 18 to 24, because And you can just see very clearly that the cohort as it matures actually gets to a very, very reasonable
So
3 crore a year.
So the metric, for that is called same store sales growth, where you track these कि जो आपके like for like stores थे उन पे आपका year on year क्या growth हुआ. And there, like if you see, Bluestone has been growing same store sales growth by 15 to 20%. So forget the network expansion, you isolate that. These are like what could happen, but like they are at like 15 to 18% same store sales growth. So if I were looking at a retail business, I would look at these 3-4 things religiously, which is the SSSG, which is their inventory turns and capacity utilization if they have the factory by themselves. But this is what you talked about on how I see the return safe layout from this Bluestone idea. Right. So I think focus on the bottom half of the table. Basically, what the bottom half is telling you is that if you have to earn a 20% IRR on your investment in Bluestone, you need to be in those green boxes. And the y-axis tells you this is EV.
EV. What is the EV today? This is in dollar million, but
this is in dollar million. Yeah, correct.
Today the business is close to $700-800 million.
No, 1.1 billion EV
after listing.
After listing. This might be like
3-4
this might be 3-4 days old though. The EV today might be 3-4 days old. जब मैंने बनाया था ये. But basically, net the point is कि on y-axis you
almost 8,200 crores, so about 800 million, 900 million.
800 million, yeah. Okay, so assuming it was at a 1.1 billion EV, अगर आपको 20% IRR चाहिए Bluestone में, तो आपको ये green boxes के अंदर खेलना है, which means that the y-axis is how much the EBITDA needs to grow compound till FY29, and how much do you need to get on y-axis as 1 year forward EBITDA multiple.
Okay.
So assume that we are sitting in FY28 now, and if I'm able to get 50% CAGR on EBITDA from Bluestone, and it trades at a 45x EV EBITDA, then I will make a 20% IRR on my investment.
At a $2 billion
$2 billion EV value.
Yeah.
Now,
but FY28 1 year forward, मतलब you're taking a next year view. कि next year you should have visibility that इतना EBITDA correct. और आपके हिसाब से बन रहा है FY28 में 50%, because technically इतना कम EBITDA है अभी FY25 तो कुछ 9 मिलियन बता रहे हो आप, और 33 मिलियन अगर हो गया FY28 तक तो बल्ले बल्ले ऐसे.
मैं एक framework दे रहा हूँ how to think about this. I'm not saying much कि बन रहा है कि नहीं बन रहा. Okay, let's look at the historicals. Maybe that will give you a frame of reference. इन्होंने अभी जो है they have gone from 90 million to 150 to 208. So they have
crazy expansion यार.
हाँ, they have grown.
But इसमें कितना है? Same store sales तो ज्यादा नहीं है ना. I think it's been a lot.
18% है, बाकी सारा network expansion है.
मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ मैं. That's why the network is very fresh and that's why the EBITDA seems low. My view is the CaratLane network. I know while you're comparing कि नहीं देखो रे, but absolute में हमने कहा इन्होंने उतने ही ऐड किए हैं 2 साल में. They already had 200 mature stores or at least 117 mature stores in FY21. Bluestone is a very fresh network. Right? FY23 अगर देखिएगा ना तो 117 ही होगा राइट उनका. तो हाँ वो है ना उतना we call it बेक नहीं हुए स्टोर्स उतने. Though there is one argument to be made कि आप जब densification में इन्वेस्ट करते हो तो SSSG भी रुक जाता है. तो by the way Domino's faced this between 2015 and 2020. They actually struggled on SSSG because they over densified. और क्या demand couldn't catch up. So then they had to like wait a little for the demand to catch up with that densification. For that, and फिर वो I think जब Swiggy Zomato फिर scale हुए तो थोड़ा सा फिर वो scale हुआ करके. Now obviously
I'll give you another frame of reference, which is that ये जो है सारे इनके jewelry वाले comps हैं. Bluestone, Titan, Kalyan, Senco and Thundermill. Kalyan, Senco and Thundermill are more like gold jewelry heavy, which is why their gross margins look low. But their EBITDA margins are good. Their inventory turns are very good. That's what these guys thrive on. In Bluestone's case, gross margin is high, but inventory turns are low. Now, both Thundermill and Bluestone are both growing at 40% EBITDA CAGR. By the way, in the last 3 years, they have grown at 40% CAGR essentially. So what you are expecting from here is that the EBITDA CAGR to structurally go up. Right? But they trade at FY27 के हिसाब से अगर आप देख लो तो they, apart from Bluestone, if you remove that, all of these stocks trade close to 20x 1 year forward EBITDA.
The valuation multiples are quite low.
Yeah. So what you are underwriting here then is that on one side, your EBITDA CAGR goes up than what it has historically, which you can sure argue that, okay, मेरा store network expansion मैं कम कर दूंगा तो मेरा EBITDA CAGR बढ़ जाएगा, right? And then the multiple also to expand meaningfully versus comms.
What are other growth avenues for these guys? Like Volkswagen, do they grow outside of network expansion?
Yeah, frequency it is more gold heavy where the margins are lower. Bluestone focuses more on diamonds, polkis, other like sort of studded jewelry as a segment. So one potential way to increase their AOVs and go up is to go to the wedding side and do more gold stuff.
Yeah.
But then that will dilute their brand positioning quite a bit. नहीं मार्जिन
Also margin.
क्योंकि वहां पे आपका नहीं बट वो तो ये मार्जिन कम होगा आपका तो आपका थ्रूपुट बढ़ जाएगा उधर क्योंकि गोल्ड ज्वेलरी का डिमांड बहुत ज्यादा है बट आई थिंक पोजीशनिंग डाइल्यूट हो जाएगा like Bluestone, I think, which is why I call this like Bluestone's positioning genius, because even though the jewelry industry has existed for a long period of time, CaratLane and Bluestone both picked on that emerging use case, which was considered niche at the time, of being a modern age retailer for the millennial Gen Z consumer who wants to wear a jewelry every day. Right?
Very
Our parents' jeweler and our jeweler is different, effectively, if you think about it. This is what and that is where their genius shows up in different ways on the kind of SKUs that they do. Like they would do more earrings and rings and chains versus like necklaces that a gold jeweler would do or a wedding wear jeweler would do, right? Or they would focus more on North India and West India as a market versus a traditional jeweler which would focus more on South India as a market because of cultural preferences there. Like I put this word beauty quotient here because HUL's late Govind Rajan had this beautiful post that he wrote about one day, which was about how East and North and basically Maharashtra are the three pockets where beauty products spend or like fashion products spend per capita is much higher because these are the places where there's like more like consumption spends, more like risk taking with fashion, stylistic choices, preferences. Whereas the South and like Gujarat, Rajasthan, etc., all of these places are much lower. So if you are a company which is retailing in those categories, then you should be targeting Northeast as a market, for example, much earlier than you would if you were selling grocery as a category. And I've seen this in a couple of companies where I was shocked. I think in Purple's case and a couple of other companies I've seen where if you look at their top 10 cities and Aizawl, some cities inside or some pin codes inside Imphal start showing up in their top 10% very early on in their journey, which would never register on your top 10% pin codes if you're selling a grocery product for basically forever.
That is true.
And yeah, you can see here that their revenue, their network is mostly geared towards North India, and that is where they get the most revenue per store also, essentially, for their products. But like I said earlier, Bluestone is a offline business with an Instagram page calling itself an omni-channel business.
I love that.
But still, like omni-channel means different things for different companies, so there's no complaint there. But yeah, I think that's a little bit on Bluestone. The other thing I think that I want to take you guys to, given that we were talking about ROCEs and what would happen, is that all of these, that both Bluestone and Lenskart are actually moving away from franchisees. The traditional philosophy has been that the deeper you go inside the country, you start putting on more franchisee stores. But both of these businesses are actually reducing the number of franchise stores that they have as they are scaling up because they are getting more confidence in their ability to execute the box and they want to deliver the same consistent retail experience all over the board.
That's very. I would love to actually see Sleep Company and Jiva also as columns on this maybe at a later date because it will be very interesting to see.
When they file their DRF, please.
Won't be very far, I think.
Yeah,
for both.
I think Jiva though should be soon enough. Next 18 months, like is my sense. Sleep Company, I'm not sure.
इतना जल्दी क्यों? Because sizable है.
यार थोड़ा पुराना भी कंपनी है ना तो थोड़ा प्रेशर तो होगा एग्जिट का भी.
कितना पुराना है यार?
Actually, size भी है. Once you are 500 crore revenue and profitable, I think with these models, so it's easy to underwrite. Like go back to Go Colors.
Easy to, yeah. The public markets also like
store is close to that scale now. even a California burritos that scale now. So I'm seeing increasing investor appetite in private equity style plays that used to happen 15 years back. You get into a good, strong, scalable PMF offline retail business. Which is
I know I've been making this point earlier also, but I think it is because the time to get to that 100 store is also compressed now. If you were starting out as an online only, if you were starting out as an offline only brand, na, then your ability to get to that 100 stores, let's say as a benchmark, would have taken you longer because you would have gone city by city, location by location, established customer proposition. अगर online to offline जा रहे हो ना, तो आप जो network को बहुत जल्दी expand कर सकते हो because a customer already knows Lenskart or knows of Lenskart before you even open your first store in a particular city. So while I agree that these are all
Theobroma take to get to Theobroma was what 100 stores.
they are more, I think, 120 odd stores. But Theobroma though, just the family just sold a major part of their stake in private equity buyers bought them just very recently. So I don't think Theobroma. Chris Cap got it, yeah.
No, but that's the thing. Again, Theobroma built out offline, right? So it took a lot longer
25
to build out.
वो 2004 का company है वो.
Correct.
But I think उस time पे जब वो start हुआ था, it started out as a niche family bakery. It didn't start out as a business which is meant to sort of, go win the world types. So, but I do feel that the path to getting to that 100 store number is far quicker if you start as an online first brand than it is to do with an offline first.
Let me flip it today. Like if Theobroma were to start as a niche family bakery plus listed on Swiggy, Zomato, plus have packaged food, which kind of some of the stuff that has got expiry above around 3 to 6 months, which is sold on D2C. Then a 25-year journey you're saying can get crunched down to like a
much more compressed, yeah.
Like,
वो हम लोग देख ही रहे हैं मतलब let's use some more recent food brand as an example and you'll see like a Cure Foods for example is now planning to go public much earlier than you would see traditional QSR players go public. So so I think the time to hit that scale and the time to go public compresses really meaningfully if you start out as online first and then eventually you go offline.
For 3 years.
Sir, मेरे case में like even in Raymond's case, like his opportunity cost to open offline is so high. Why did he put all those resources? In my case, no one told me, or at least I had to discover this in a very expensive way, that revenue per store per month is the ultimate goal. If you can get 3,000 rupees revenue per store per month, which I thought कि ये तो हो ही जाएगा. But it's not easy यार. किराने की दुकान में 3,000 rupees per store per month is very high. हम लोग 1,000 नहीं पहुंच पाते यार. So at one point we had 70,000 stores, of which only 400 were above 1,000 rupees per store per month.
Wow.
यार ये ना generic advice offline चले जाओ ठीक है, but the economics of making offline work किसी को पता ही नहीं है.
और ये भी था सेकंड थिंग कि तुम्हारे पास जो रैकेट और कोलगेट इन्वेस्टर है उनके साथ तुम ऑफलाइन करो. इतना कोशिश किया. बाय द वे आई विल गिव फुल मार्क्स टू कोलगेट फॉर द एफर्ट दैट दे पुट. पूरा मोबिलाइज किया. न्यू सीईओ, न्यू हेड ऑफ सेल्स, आवर सीईओ इज लाइक आवर एक्स कोलगेट गाय. वो किया, होटल में जाके सबको खिलाया. ये सब टारगेट्स. पीपल हु सेल मैक्सिमम बॉम्बे शेविंग कंपनी विल गेट मोटरसाइकिल. सब कुछ किया बॉम्बे सिटी में. मतलब द वर्क्स एब्सोल्युटली नथिंग मूव्ड. ही नहीं डूड.
तो वो मेरा very okay sir what you said, right? What I think 2018 में we had discussed when we were making the PPT for the Geo talk, right? The product price channel framework, and now I saw Arindam's book. It's become like a new word, EPCMF. Like तो यार ये ना offline के लिए पूरा अलग ही है ये. और BPC के लिए किराना में क्या चलेगा? If you don't have the SKU depth, आप ये first store पहुंच ही नहीं पाओगे 3,000 रुपए. See, Mamaearth works because they have, like, everyone chastised them for adding so many SKUs, but the reason that they were across so many different occasions, across a face wash and a oil and a shampoo and maybe something for the body and a serum and stuff like that, you had the ability to get some throughput. Like, you would have hero SKUs, but तुम्हें 3 या 4 चाहिए ताकि तुम्हारा वो उतना throughput निकले कि तुम 3,000 पर स्टोर कर पाओ करके. Or you need the top of mind recall of a parachute. कि भाई तेल मतलब पैराशूट, पानी का बॉटल मतलब बिस्लरी, राइट? मतलब तुम फिर यू आस्क फॉर द ब्रांड, राइट? यू आस्क फॉर अमूल बटर, लाइक. बट उस लेवल का तो मार्केटिंग स्पेंड तो बहुत टाइम लगता है, या इट टेक्स टाइम इन ईयर्स और लॉट ऑफ मनी, राइट, टू गेट टू दैट अमाउंट ऑफ रिकॉल, spontaneous awareness that माल तुम्हारा ही बिकने वाला है, एक ही SKU है तुम्हारा, but वही बिक रहा है क्योंकि but these are things that everybody is uncovering over time. वो I don't think वो clear है ecosystem में कि what is the playbook for offline. Like that's why I am very clear कि EBO playbook is AOV. AOV नहीं है तो मत करो, AOV है तो try कर लो. It is necessary but not the only sufficient. There are things beyond that as well, but the simple metric is कि भाई AOV नहीं है तो सोचो भी मत करके. Like I find that a little
नीचे तो कोई पॉइंट ही नहीं है,
surprising to see beauty personal care players doing EBOs today.
समझ में नहीं आता.
मतलब मेरे को देख सोचता हूँ कि यार कैसे वर्क करेगा इकोनॉमिक्स करके ये, बट ठीक है लोग ट्राई कर रहे हैं, आई एम श्योर मे बी विल लर्न समथिंग, बट मेरे को लगता है कि यार 2-2,500 रुपए के नीचे अगर तुम्हारा है तो चिता भी है, 100 स्क्वायर फीट है, 200 स्क्वायर फीट है, 500 स्क्वायर फीट है, 1000 स्क्वायर फीट है, कुछ भी कर लो, 2000 के नीचे मैथ ही नहीं बैठता है. एक्चुअली द अदर corollary is also true, right? Going back to the ROCE or MOIC, whatever framework you want to use for an investment, I have realized that the absolute, you need to make approximately minimum 3 crores a year from a EBO outlet. Ideally 5 crore a year. उससे नीचे ना कितने आउटलेट डालोगे यार, पागल हो जाओगे बाल दिनों पे, right? Like an ideal business would be close to 5 crores. Because then you know कि ऐसे 100 locations बन पाएंगे, 500 करोड़ का रेवेन्यू आएगा. और अगर तुम एक 1.5 करोड़ कर रहे हो, which was going back to the QSR question that we had, right? Now I know there is a Chayos, there is a Wow Momo that break the trend, but these are exceptions, they are not the norm, right? Ideally you...
How big is Chayos?
Chayos is about 350 crore profitable business, but AOVs come there, so they don't make that 3.5-4 crore per year per store, for example. So it would be a little lower, right? A Wow Momo would be even lower. But these are exceptions. Like across the board, a scalable business. क्योंकि 500 पे कहानी रुकनी नहीं है ना, आपको फिर 1000 भी तो पहुंचना है. Like अगर पब्लिक जाने से लोग बोलेंगे कैलिफोर्निया बर्रिटो का 1000 कैसे पहुंचोगे आप? एंड में देयर इज अ लिमिट, like you can't keep waiting for India to become aspirational कि अच्छा मैं और like Domino's has 2000 kitchens, लोग बोलते हैं यार वो अलग लेवल डेप्थ है यार, 30 साल से वो, and it's a monopoly, 70% of pizza market is still with them, right? So
लेट्स कट केस में से
I design
that their revenue per store is like लगभग 2 crore, because the stores are
Per year.
smaller. Yeah,
नहीं पर मंथ
per year.
नहीं 2 करोड़ पर मंथ कैसे होगा यार?
कहाँ पे देख सकते हो? सॉरी प्लीज लाइन
ये देखो आप ऊपर वाले टेबल में देखो, सबसे लास्ट रो,
दिस इज फॉर होम
लेंस कार्ट.
Dance card.
हाँ बट दिस इज लाइक द बेयर मिनिमम यार, वो भी बढ़ रहा है ना.
हाँ नहीं वो सेम मिनिमम है. मैं आई एम नॉट डिसएग्रीइंग विद द फ्रेमवर्क.
फिर उसमें भी सिर्फ एक, अभी यू सी द नंबर ऑफ लेंस कार्ड स्टोर, राइट? छोटे मतलब कितने डाल दिए उसने, पर वो फिर कितने ही डालोगे यार? हाउ मेनी स्टोर्स डू दे हैव इन इंडिया?
Yeah, so they have 2,000 stores in India and 650 stores outside of India. Almost 2,100 stores in India, actually.
Yeah, but if you see the revenue, it's 40% now outside India. So again, the ARPU's same. Like from what I hear, Moko Bara's Dubai store does like way more than
यार वो तो हो
what the...
ये तो
So वही eventually तो इंडिया में I know we are premiumizing, but the premiumizing is not at a level कि आप 4,000-5,000 स्टोर कर पाओगे, नहीं होगा. At some point of time, the economics will start breaking.
Bluestone is at roughly 6 crores per store revenue.
Carrot Lane would be higher.
Carrot Lane is actually also 6 crores per store. Sorry, Carrot Lane is 13 crores per store. 13 crores per store.
हाँ काफी ज्यादा है.
डबल है.
थोड़ा प्रीमियम कस्टमर है और थोड़ा सा. It's a little more premium brand than Bluestone. And Titan would be crazy. Titan would be close to I think 30-40 crores per store. Maybe
Titan का कितना है? हाँ, Titan blended with the this Carrot Lane is 18 crores per store.
हाँ बट भाई Carrot Lane हटाएगा तो I think 30 करोड़
हाँ,
टाइप से
वो कुछ बढ़ जाएगा. हाँ. And then even our friends at Wakefit, how much are they are at? I don't think I have their store count. I think they have some 70 odd stores. तो अगर आप उनका ऑफलाइन देखोगे, ऑफलाइन एक्चुअली उनके लिए करना थोड़ा मुश्किल है, बिकॉज ऑफलाइन में दे पुट बोथ रेगुलर एज वेल एज MBOs, like their own COCO plus MBOs. So you can't disaggregate that. And even in D2C or even in online, they aggregate D2C and marketplaces. तो वो आप उनका थोड़ा मुश्किल है to disaggregate. So I did this what you have to believe activity for everyone. So for Lenskart, the what you have to believe, let's say if they list at 7,000 crores, or sorry 6,000 crores, is
6 billion.
to make it
I
Six-
I heard 9-10 billion is the ask. 60,000 crores, I think.
uh,
From what I hear, the ask for IPO is 9 billion.
nahi, but from what I hear from bankers, is probably lower. What they get is
अच्छा.
probably lower.
6
but,
billion.
6 billion के आसपास राइट्स. तो उसमें अगर आपको 20% IRR बनाना by FY28, then you need to believe that it grows earnings by let's say 35% and gets a 35x 1 year forward multiple, which seems pretty reasonable. Potentially, given India international दोनों मिलाकर, seems that they can hit that. And for Wakefit, what does that math look like is as follows. For Wakefit, listing at 5,000 crores, there they probably just need to make like 30% EBITDA CAGR and get to a 35x multiple. And yeah, so again, seems like that these two are, if they happen at the prices that we are discussing here, could be like well priced IPOs versus the Bluestone, which still feels like a bit of a stretch case.
I love it how Tushar says ना कि अब यहाँ से 20% आना चाहिए तो केगर on EBITDA is 40-50% post listing. मैं सोचा शांतनु अपना मतलब लिस्टिंग तो दूर की बात है, उसके बाद तुषार ऐसा कोई बैठेगा बोलेगा कि अच्छा यार यहाँ से 40% केगर में सोचा भाई
It is, सर ये ना मल्टीपल भी मैं आपको पूरा बेनिफिट दे रहा हूँ ना, मैं तो फिर वैसा नहीं है तो
we had this episode on value creation and wealth versus status, and I think ESOP, those two episodes my team really liked. Like, यार आप ना पूरा मतलब पब्लिक कर देते हो कि आपकी एक्सपेक्टेशन क्या है. लाइक भाई वैल्यू क्रिएशन के लिए देख रहे हो तो क्या डिमांड होती है इन्वेस्टर्स की.
यार अब today a very interesting article came out. Someone had written an editorial where they were saying, boss, you can't be growing your EPS as an index by 10% if you have to be the second most expensive stock market in the world, right? And that is what we have delivered in FY25. The earnings growth has been 10% only. So then, like if you deserve these rich multiples, then you also have to show that back that up with performance, right? And which is why all the FIs have been basically selling, because relative to their portfolio, India feels very expensive relative to the earnings growth that we are seeing here. And
we don't have the Nvidias and the Metas of the world throwing up cash like crazy. वो तो है नहीं अपने पास.
Nope.
और है but वो उनका growth नहीं है actually. There is a reliance on a TCS, but unfortunately they are growing at like less than 10% year on year. That is the big problem.
So then you have like a expensive stock market. So then like वो multiple और growth का फिर मैथ सेम ही होगा ना. अगर 10% ग्रोथ कर रहा है कोई तो उसको मिलेगा फिर 15x, राइट? तो मतलब वो वैसा आपको देखना पड़ेगा साथ में. अभी तो क्या हो रहा है कि डोमेस्टिक कैपिटल इज कीपिंग द मार्केट्स अप बिकॉज हमने कैपिटल को हर तरफ से बॉक्स इन कर दिया है कि तुम जो है बाहर किसी भी तरह से पैसा भेज नहीं सकते हो, इन्वेस्ट नहीं कर सकते हो, कुछ नहीं है. तो एंड ऑब्वियसली एज द ऑडियंस इज बिकमिंग यंगर एंड यंगर, रिस्क एपेटाइट इज गोइंग अप. And there, what is the avenue to spend money on apart from like the Indian stock markets essentially, right? आपने RMG तो कैसे तो किधर जाएगा? इधर ही आएगा. हाँ.
The other thing was, I don't know if you saw, we shut down a lot of post offices are getting shut down because nobody now does any dark, right? So now the postmen are being asked to go and sell mutual funds. तो मतलब भाई गजब तेजी आने वाली है मार्केट में. मतलब सब म्यूचुअल फंड बेचेंगे, सब SIP लाएंगे. SIP
बहुत एक्सपेंसिव हो गया मार्केट.
और दूसरी तरफ से आपको डोमेस्टिक म्यूचुअल फंड्स को कुछ करना, मतलब कुछ कर ही नहीं सकते. दे हैव टू डिप्लॉय कैश इन द मार्केट, राइट? तो अब हमारे पास तो कोई ऑप्शन है नहीं. वी कांट इन्वेस्ट आउटसाइड. तो इसलिए जो है जो कर सकते हैं, दे आर वोटिंग विद देयर फीट एंड सेलिंग इंडिया एंड बाइंग समथिंग एल्स.
बट यार खुश रहो यार तुषार. मैं बोल रहा हूँ, it's been 76 years since we have been trying to be self-reliant. It's great ना कि if you design the system in such a way that देश ही देश को आगे बढ़ाएगा तो अच्छी बात है. We should be happy about it.
It comes back to the same thing. The only way it will happen is if we make our own stuff and create value, which brings us back to Bluestone and Lenskart factories.
हाँ, हम ये डालेंगे, हम ही बनाएंगे, हम ही रिटेल दुकान डालेंगे, हम ही को बेचेंगे, राइट? अब तक तू नहीं खरीदेगा बोल के कि नहीं यार बॉम्बे शेविंग का रिजल्ट अच्छा नहीं है या आपका सप्लीमेंट अच्छा नहीं है, मेरे को US वाला माल चाहिए, तो वो नहीं चलेगा यार. यू हैव टू इन्वेस्ट इन द कंट्री, यू हैव टू बाय.
वही कह रहा हूँ ना, वो हम लोग जो है किसी और का लाइफस्टाइल फाइनेंस करते हैं, अपना नहीं करते हैं.
नहीं यार, I think we are getting to that stage where at least interestingly I'm seeing social media amplify the सब अपना देख लो. राइट? ट्रम्प बोल रहा है कि भाई तुम सब छोड़ो, हम अपना करेंगे, हम बोल रहे ठीक है भाई हम अपना करेंगे. तो एटलीस्ट फॉर मी द बिगेस्ट realization was damn funny, right? So when the tariff news broke, after 2 days, my wife was like, क्या चल रहा है करके, यार रस्सी से 50% tariff डाल दिया यार ये. I'm going to stop buying US stuff now. Just, I'm going to stop buying China stuff था for like so many years. Like मैं इतना BYD बोल रहा हूँ यार, BYD नहीं चाइना है, मैं मेरे को नहीं चाहिए. नहीं चलो ठीक है. अब बोल रही है कि US वाला भी खरीदना है करके. तो I'm like, तू ब्रश करना छोड़ देगी क्या? I'm like, कोलगेट यूज करते हैं हम, US कंपनी है. मैंने बता रहे देश में यही तो दिक्कत है, क्या नहीं है US से, तुम बताओ करके, राइट? आई एम जस्ट सीइंग इट. It's at least I'm seeing even the normal people who are away from all of this. And my wife, actually, I really like her sanity because she's away from all of this nonsense that we see in our ecosystem. Right? हम तो दिन भर अरे बाप रे ये हो गया, like you said, normal day in life of Indians, right? 6 weeks में दुनिया बदल जाती है करके. But I'm seeing that rally cry now saying कि नहीं यार, अब पहले वो थोड़ा सा will not buy Chinese stuff or will not buy US stuff. I'm like भाई but सब कुछ तो US से आता है. But at least most companies that have become large in India, you look at FMCG or auto or whatever it is, right? Have in the end most of that is outside, right? Very few uh, homegrown companies in that sense that have truly actually just got built. And even they obviously used FDI from the US. Like Eternal was a great benefactor of all the venture capital, private equity money that we got from the US, right? So in that sense, बट आई लाइक स्टिल द गवर्नमेंट व्यू की देखो सब अपने फायदे के लिए कर रहे थे, ठीक है, कोई हमारे देश को बढ़ाने के लिए इन्वेस्ट नहीं कर रहे थे. सबको दिख रहा था कि IRR बनेगा इसलिए कर रहे थे. तो अब IRR बनेगा बट हमारे टर्म से बनेगा. आई थिंक आई मीन
तो आप तो आई फ्लिप इट राइट. आई थिंक व्हाइल इट द नैरेटिव साउंड्स गुड. आप क्या लग रहा है कि जो लोग जो है स्टॉक मार्केट में ऐसा डाल रहे हैं आज के डेट में, वो इसलिए डाल रहे हैं ताकि अपना IRR बने, या इसलिए डाल रहे हैं कि देश आगे बढ़े?
IRR के लिए कर रहे हैं. दैट्स व्हाई वी आर ऑल कैपिटलिस्ट, नो? And in the end, some way or form, people will try to control that. कि यार, whether it is अब ज़्यादा पैसा बना रहे हो तो ठीक है, थोड़ा टैक्स बढ़ जाएगा.
I think Chirag is not here, but I want to just bring attention to one more page, which is this one, which goes back to the last episode, where we were talking about convenience fee and platform fee. Lenskart का 11% EBITDA is coming from subscription fees. They keep renaming the program. It was called Lenskart Gold, then it was called Lenskart Gold Pro, then it became Lenskart Gold Pro Max. But 11%, that's meaningful.
11% of their EBITDA comes from subscription fee.
Like subscription fee is 13 million. EBITDA will be whatever, like 10 times more than the subscription fee.
But yeah, I think इनका ना इंडिया में ही है तुषार. So if you remove their revenue and EBITDA from outside, actually it will be close to 60-70% of India EBITDA.
Yeah. I feel like
Because
that part has
Bahar is more profitable than India. Or Bahar is 40% of revenue, so approximately 60% of EBITDA. So if you actually take this as India members, right, also Bahar.
Yeah.
They are not integrated. They call it own days only. They are not rebranded it to
Let's
Lens.
just call it own days, yeah.
Yeah, so this is only in India actually, or whatever, some stores in the Middle
This
East.
is like even more, right? Like
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
even more meaningful than.
Yeah. I might check that also. Like the Country Delight subscription fee also is a big chunk of their revenue now. It's like 5 to 8% of the revenue itself. So at some point, it will probably be a majority of the EBITDA if they continue in the same assortment as they have today. And that's fine. And that's
Huh,
I think we should operationalize a strategy, Shantanu, कि 3 साल में कैसे Bombay Shaving पे there is a subscription fee.
यार हमारा धंधा ही
आप
तो यार
आप asymmetric पे वो मेंबरशिप लगाना शुरू कर दो ना. आई थिंक आपका वहां से
I think ये तो anyway this is a personal ये for us, but
of course.
it's but to that point, maybe we should do an episode on the YouTube monetization. I'm hearing like crazy numbers on
100%.
monetization for creators on YouTube and Instagram both, which is just जो चाइना ने पॉपुलराइज कराया था ना, which is the gifting कि आप इतना
हाँ.
पैसा दे दो करके टाइप.
Kissing, tipping कहते हैं उसको. हाँ, मतलब वो it's actually
Membership,
really
gifting, the significant. I mean, I know still a lot of it used for soft porn, but that's how it starts. Everything is that's the
Yeah.
easiest place to start, right? But then धीरे, I think if I look at the micro drama thing also, it's like little similar there, right? कि आपको tease करेंगे एक एपिसोड के साथ, but दूसरा एपिसोड चाहिए तो फिर 10 रुपए दो and stuff like that. So I think that I think the people are getting very used to in some way or form being okay with this कि हम छोटे-छोटे bite size payment हर जगह करते रहेंगे for access.
रेवान वो तो आपका फेवरेट टॉपिक है
I know.
यूपीआई ऑटो पे
UPI ऑटो पे पे अलग ही वापस एपिसोड बन जाएगा, छोड़ दे अभी के लिए.